This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jharrel Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Watch Unstoppable now, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your post-match RAW podcasting to you from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland. I am post-migraine Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Liverpool 2, Lille 1 in the Champions League from Anfield are Dave Hendrick and Guy Drinkel. Dave, it's all about the result tonight. I thought the performance is an awful lot better than I was seeing described by Kenny Cunningham and his band of merry men on the Irish channel, whatever the hell it's called, Premier Sports, immediately afterwards. But, you know, a very familiar story. We seem to be just that little bit shy at the end with the finishing and the final ball on several occasions. Lots to like, though. Interesting and very, I thought, forceful cameo by Chiesa, showing that he's not perhaps as delicate as some people think. He likes to get a shot away, which is very exciting. And lots to like about one or two of the other performances in terms of, at least, if nothing else, effort levels. Overall, though, Barcelona pulled out a 5-4 win right at the death, which means we can't just relax and say we've got it won. And I know you have an opinion about this last game.
I do. So all along I'd been looking at it and thinking, well, all we really need to do is get, top 8. After that, it doesn't really matter, because when you go into the last 16, you're just in a draw. Now you're seeded in the draw once you're in that the first 8, but you don't get a preferential draw against the team that finished lowest or anything. So I was kind of looking at it and thinking, well, it doesn't really matter if we get the result against PSV, but I would like to win the group. And obviously a draw against PSV will guarantee that we win the group. But if we win that game, we'll have won 8 from 8, which means that in this iteration of the Champions League, this kind of format, until it's expanded, as Guy said before the mics went live, nobody can ever beat that. Like, nobody can ever better 8 wins from 8. They can tie it, but it would just be a really nice marker to lay down, a little piece of history for Arne Slot in the first half, or in his first season, rather. As for the game, like, Kenny Cunningham seems to be of the opinion that if we don't win by 4 clear goals, that we've not played well. I thought we played okay in the first half. I was quite frustrated with a lot of our build-up play in the first half, but I thought we were fine in general. I thought we played quite well in the second half, and I thought Clint wasn't on for very long, obviously, but the 4 lads that did play a decent chunk, Harvey, Alexis, Endo, and then Chiesa, I thought they all played well. I thought they all had good involvement. They all played on the front foot. I thought, especially in the second half when Alexis was on the pitch, our build-up improved immensely compared to what it was in the first half. And I thought it made us just a more rounded team. But as I said on Twitter, look, they're a really solid team. They're well set up. They're well drilled. They've got some really good players in that team. It's a solid win for us. And that's the only thing that matters. It's a good win against a good team.
Yeah, I think it would be daft not to acknowledge that this lot have had some fantastic results in this competition.
Yeah.
And are doing quite well.
They were 21 games unbeaten before today.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen by fluke. And I know people will say, oh, but it's the French league. But they were unbeaten in their last 5 in this competition and had beaten both Madrid clubs, who I think are the top 2 teams in Spain so far this season. I think Atleti and Real are first and second. So, they're a good team. They are. There's just no way around it. They're well organized. Yes, there's no superstar names, but you look at the goalkeeper, he's quality. The 2 centre-backs are very good. Diakite is outstanding. Jonathan David's a good player. The Haraldsson kid looks a good player. Buadi, who came off the bench, is a good player. Sarawi came off the bench. He's a good player. They're a good, solid operation. And we should be very happy with the win.
I was just trying to open UEFA.com while you were making that point there, just to check what the final fixtures were, to see, for example, who Barca have in the last game, to see, for example, who Real Madrid have in the last game, because they're currently outside of that top 8 as well. Although granted, it's, and they're level on points of people, I think, who have just snuck in there. So it's just really interesting. But of course, UEFA.com doesn't want to open because it's a fucking useless website. So if you could get your pause on those fixtures, Dave, just while I'm chatting to Guy, I would be really interested to see who those last games are.
Yeah, I have them here. Barcelona are home to Atalanta,
okay,
which is a tough one.
Yeah, not again.
And you said Real Madrid as well?
Yeah.
They're away to Brest, and they obviously play tomorrow night. They're home to Salzburg, which should be an easy win, and away to Brest, which should be a win, but it is the type of game they've made a mess of in this competition so far, so you just don't know. I think the most interesting game is PSG versus Man City tomorrow night, because as we look at the table right now, Man City are 24th and PSG are 26th. So a City win, if Celtic win and Real win, would leave PSG on the brink of going out.
Yeah.
They would need a whole bunch of teams to lose on the final day for them to sneak in with a win. So if City win tomorrow night, we may well be in a situation where Paris Saint-Germain are out of this competition.
Well, you'd love to see a little bit of drama on that last day, and hopefully we will keep our part of that to a minimum, Guy, because the idea of having to go now and get something against PSV on the 29th, next Wednesday, just over a week from now, is a little bit irritating. But, I feel very reluctant to be anything other than, job done kind of attitude tonight, because they had to go out and get a result. I thought the performance was generally very dominant. We had that look about us that we could go up a couple of gears. Their goal was sort of a mugging, if you like. They weren't exactly carving out opportunities at a rate of knots. And it just felt like, didn't it, there was more in the tank there, that if we had to go balls out and get a couple in the last 5 minutes to decide a result, we probably could have done it. Maybe I'm being a little bit too smug there. What was your take in that regard?
No, I'd probably agree with you, to be fair. I think we saw basically the start of the second half, we had levels to the match that they couldn't match. I think we should have scored straight away after halftime, if I remember correctly. And then, except maybe the midfield being slightly messed about, because wasn't it Szoboszlai and McAllister as a double pivot, which you don't really want to see too often. But the rest of it, I mean, Mo Salah went up a level. Darwin kind of had a quiet night, to be fair to him. But I think when Elliott came on, and he's probably one of the ones we'll talk about, especially when we come to the later part of the game, I think our on-ball quality especially just went up to another level. Because first half, as Dave kind of alluded to, our final pass was kind of awful. Elliott just knitted the game together kind of masterfully, to be fair to him. And yeah, if our finishing boots were on a bit more, I mean, Mo had a weird game. Let's go with that. Because sometimes he looked like the best player in the world that we've seen all season. And then other times it's like, oh, you've never played football before. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really weird game. But as you say, I think we could have, if we wanted to, we could have smashed them.
There are several things. I've already mentioned Chiesa once, but I just see a Sam Maguire stat getting thrown out here on Twitter. Apparently he has 11 shots in 106 minutes for Liverpool, which is glorious. And, you'd like to see that continue. So there were little exciting things to talk about, and we will do that. But let's you and I just talk briefly about how Arne Slot decided to go tonight, because there was a lot of conversation about whether or not it'd be a strong team or how strong the team would be. I think most of us suspected that he would go quite strong, because this was the one that was probably the easier one to win, and we know that the win would guarantee us a place in that draw. As Dave said, there's no seeding, so the only thing about it is to win it for the kudos of winning it, and I would be very much in the same camp as Dave on that. But we did go quite strong with Alisson, Bradley, Quansah, Van Dijk and Tsimikas, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and Jones, and Salah, Nunez and Diaz. So we have Jota and Joe Gomez, who are, and I quote, weeks, not months away, according to Arne Slot. I don't think that was the good news that everyone maybe around the club thought it was going to be. I think an awful lot of people were hopeful it would be a lot quicker for Jota, but he is a very delicate man. Yaros, Kelleher, Endo, Kanate, McAllister, Chiesa, Gakpo, Elliott, Robertson, Alexander-Arnold, Dans and Morton makes up an absurdly strong bench for us, I have to say. Not much to cry about there, Guy. I don't know if it's worth any much discourse at all, except just to say, were you shocked by anything there, or was it pretty much how you expected he'd go?
Not shocked, no. I think the only eyebrow raise is the fact that Ryan Gravenberch will never be rested until we play Plymouth.
Yep. What's that about, man? You got a theory?
Not really. I think we just don't have a natural backup, and I think it's easy enough saying you could just play Endo there, and Endo would be fine. All of us know Endo would be at worst a 6 out of 10.
Didn't you think he was closer to an 8 tonight and on the previous couple of showings as well? Like, I thought he was really good. So what's going on there, do you think?
I just think he likes having at least 2 of the main lads in. But I suppose when you've got 4 of them, you're always going to have 2 in. But I just don't know. I think maybe it's weird because Gravenberch's playing as a 6, but at times he's not playing as a 6. And when McAllister doesn't play, people don't drop in to receive the ball and stuff like that. It's a bit of a weird. I just think Gravenberch's just kind of a unique thing for us. Like Jones and McAllister, I think there's similarities there. Szoboszlai, we don't really have a natural backup because, well, his running power is so unique. But in terms of dribbling ability and the ability to turn on the ball, I know McAllister and Jones can do that. But doing that and then striding into 30 yards of space, I just don't think anyone else can do that. I just don't know. Maybe the fact, because he's not played first team football since his Ajax days. So maybe he just has that much in the tank, it doesn't really matter. Like obviously we can go all sports sciencey and stuff on it, but ultimately he's not played a lot of football for what, 3-4 years now?
That's
get it in his legs.
But that's part of the issue, is that like you have to build up these minutes. You can't just throw him in and just keep throwing him in. And the fact of it is, he's been blown out of his arse now for months. He doesn't look anything like the same footballer he did in the early part of the season. he didn't play well again today. Like, he's not offering anything on the ball other than his carrying, which is only useful if he's picking it up in their half, because otherwise it becomes too risky.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Rakuten. If you're shopping while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast, then you know and love the thrill of the hunt. But are you getting the thrill of the best deals? Rakuten shoppers do. They get the brands they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Samsung, Expedia, and Sephora. And even stack sales on top of cash back. It's easy to use, and you get your cash back through PayPal or check. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's RAKUTEN.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
He doesn't show for the ball off the centre backs. He's in behind Lille players constantly for the first 45 minutes, not showing for it, not making a second movement to make himself available. And defensively, like, he's not a plus defensively as a 6. He does some good things defensively. But in terms of locking down the middle of that pitch, he doesn't do that for us. He doesn't look like he looks knackered. And he has for weeks. And
that's where I was going.
Some way back before you find a really good Ryan Gravenberch performance.
That's where I was going with it, with Guy there as well. It's just I'm kind of at a loss, because if he is, and it appears that this is the slot thing. Every manager has their own thing that will always make you sort of scratch your head a little bit. Arna's appears to be that Ryan Gravenberch must play. It's as simple as that. And if that's his thing, fine. But, you know, there are times when you've got to cut the lad a bit of slack. I'd like to have seen him not involved at all today, for example, not even in the squad, have a proper break, maybe a couple of games. I think I heard you say something like that on the show recently, Dave. And it just feels like, you know, flogging a dead horse is the phrase that comes to mind. And I don't think it's good for anyone. And it just kills me, because I was one of the ones who was a little bit wary on what Endo could offer, because I found myself trusting Slot's judgment on the player. But he really has sort of put any of that nonsense to bed. Like, in the early days when he was making his first couple of cameo appearances under Slot, he looked like just so lacking in confidence. But he's just a proper warrior now. He gets out, gets stuck in. He retains possession really well. He can stick his arse out and hold on to the ball. I think he's great. I think he's a great addition, and we would not slip down a level, Dave, especially in a game like this.
No,
to see him start.
He is the best midfield player that the Premier League has seen as an all-round midfield player, sitting in the centre midfield. Not talking about like a Gerrard who was an attacking midfield player or played on the right, and that's where he was. Like, as a footballer, Gerrard was better than Keane, but in those positions, I'm talking about in the middle of the park. Roy Keane is the best the Premier League has seen, and Graham Souness is the best that British football has ever seen. And when you listen to both of them talk, and I know they're gone from the game a long time as players, but they still understand the game. And when you listen to them speak about playing in midfield, they always talk about the partnership. How it's not about an individual, it's about the pairing. Now, there's no question that Ryan Gravenberch is a better footballer than Wataru Endo. There's no question about that. He's a significantly more talented footballer than Endo. But if we're just looking at a pairing, the Endo-McAllister pairing is better than anything else we have. Whether it's McAllister and Gravenberch, McAllister and Jones, Gravenberch and Jones, the pairing is better. There's more of an understanding between them. Now, it's a natural thing because they have played together more, because they played together a lot last season. But when you watch them play, one of them presses, the other one drops. And it's not like a spoken thing. It's just an intuitive thing. When one of them picks the ball up, they intuitively know where the other one is to feed that next ball. And whether that's Alexis dropping deep and feeding Endo or vice versa, they always have an appreciation of where the other one is. And we don't always get that with the other pairings that we have in midfield.
Yeah.
So I'm not advocating for Endo to start every game at all. But I do think it's something Arne should be looking at a bit more often. Is that Endo, especially when McAllister's on the pitch, Endo and Alexis works really well as a two. And it's something he could go to. And I look at games this season, Newcastle away, United home, and I remain convinced that if he brings Endo off after we go ahead, and brings them on rather, after we go ahead in those games, that we win both of them. And that we're currently 10 points clear of Arsenal with a game and the league. I think he needs to start trusting players more. Endo is one. Harvey is another. Now, again, I'm not advocating for Harvey to start games. But with 15, 20 left in a game where you're struggling to break down an opponent, I'm thinking the Nottingham Forest game, you bring Harvey on and he can make a difference in that game. Where it's tight and congested and he can pick up little pockets of space. There's going to be issues. And there's going to be spans of the game where he doesn't get involved as much. But that's where you have to start talking your team into getting him that ball in those areas. So the team knows when Harvey's coming on, right, that's now, if it's not option A, because Mo is option A, Harvey might be option B. So rather than looking for Darwin or whoever or Diaz, look for Harvey and see where he is. If that passes on, give it to him and then relocate. Because one thing Harvey's really good at, he's really good at a couple of things. One of the things he's really good at is if you give him the ball and relocate into space, he'll give it straight back to you and then he'll move again looking for the ball. He's really good at intricate little one-touch movements.
Do you remember the joy of having Gini Wijnaldum in your team because he was quite simply the best out ball in football?
Yeah.
Harvey's not a million miles off that in that he just retains possession and recycles it really well.
And the thing is, like, Curtis retains possession really well, but Curtis can often take too much out of the ball. Gravenberch retains possession really well, but he doesn't always want to be brave on the ball. Like, you give it into Ginny, and Ginny's first thought would be, how do I move into the space behind me? Like, is there a movement here? Is there a turn? Is there a little layoff? And I can get moving. Whereas with Gravenberch, it's almost like first option is give it back to the centre-back and then look for it again and see then if there's the option. And it slows you down a little bit. And Curtis does a bit too much of that as well. Like, even with Endo today, I thought there was a couple of balls played into him and he's looking to spin the midfielder coming behind him and play into that space, or he's looking to lay it to Alexis and go into that space. I do think it's something that we're lacking. First half, it was really frustrating. The complete lack of central build-up for us. Like, the centre-backs are stood there with the foot on the ball. A midfielder needs to show for them. And Arne has said he doesn't want the midfielders coming beyond the opposition to take it off the toes. He wants it played through the lines. Very similar to what De Zerbi does. But with midfielders, just don't show at all. There's no pass for a centre-back to play. And if you don't have Trent, who can bypass all of that, it becomes quite hard to build from the back.
If you've been watching our fullbacks when they get on the ball for throw-ins over the last 5 or 6 games, there's a building frustration. It's a thing I haven't seen before from people actually not showing. And it's an awful lot of, exactly the clientele you're talking about there, who you would want to be the one showing it. It either takes an age for someone to do that little run, or it's just not happening. And you can see frustration. I've seen it in Tsimikas, Robbo, Trent, particularly Tsimikas, because he's not really good at hiding his face. And he's just pissed off.
Just looks like he's about to burst into tears because no one's making a run. He doesn't have a friend to give the ball to.
Which I mean, fair play to him. Just to get us moving along another bit, 56-year-old or 58-year-old Bruno Genesio was pulling a bit of a Bob Paisley before the game and saying that Liverpool were the best team in the world, which, of course, after Thomas Frank trying to big us up as the best team in the Premier League, it's both a respectful thing and also good tactics. Like I say, Bob used to call it giving them a little bit of toffee. You certainly don't go out of your way to criticize the opposition, but if you big them up, it can work psychologically sometimes in your favor. And you've mentioned there in passing that there's a couple of players there that are certainly worth our while talking about briefly before we get into details of the match, and we'll kind of keep that fairly condensed. But Chevalier in goal tonight had a really, really impressive performance. If you watched Premier Sports, Gary Breen came out with a Mandy quote when he got a second yellow card that was basically an effort to quote the lyrics of the Barry Manilow song. And I have to say, Gary Breen went up about 17 points in my estimation for that, because he just had it ready to go. Fair play to him. Alessandro was front and centre in an awful lot of things tonight. Goodmanson too. I really liked the look of Harrelson. I thought he was very busy all night, very much eager to get on the ball. Macau, not so much maybe, but Jonathan David again, or David, however we're supposed to say it, this guy who is apparently available on a free, looked like the kind of poacher lad that we might want to get, that might have a sort of slightly more resilient build to him than Jota. I don't know. I'm only speculating.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, look, if I look at their squad, David is absolutely one. If we were to move Jota on in the summer, and even if we could get, a fee in the region of 30, 35 million, as long as you were getting Jonathan David in for free, to be that, fourth or fifth attacker, I think that would be really good business. Now, whether he's willing to come and have that sort of role is obviously another question. There's some suggestion that he wants big time money. So again, especially with the way we operate, that might be problematic. But yeah, he's certainly one you'd have to show interest in. Haraldsson, like you said, just he looks a good player. And I thought as the game got a little bit more stretched in the second half, he got a bit more dangerous, especially when he went out to the right and could play into a bit more space. A little bit disappointed with Macau tonight. He's still young. He's very, very young. He's inexperienced. He's very raw. But I think there's something about him that I do like. I'd just like to see him be a bit more imposing in the game. He seemed to spend a lot of time chasing shadows, which, is often what you see with young players. But it's the two centre-backs that really do stand out to me. I mean, Alexandro's a really good passer of the ball, and he's quite two-footed as well, which is quite unique. Can play all across the back line. And if you were looking to go with a defensive left-back, that kind of Guardiola, Calafiori type of profile, he'd be a very interesting one to look at with his passing ability from deep. But Diakite is the one I love. He reminds me of William Gallas. Like, he's not the tallest, but he's really powerful. He's dominant in the air, really good in the ball, keeps it simple, but always makes the right option, can go a bit further with his passing when he wants to. I think if Trent leaves and we want to go with like an attacking left back and a defensive right back, similar to what Arne did at Feyenoord, where he had Gertruda as the defensive right back and Hartmann as the attacking left back, Diakite would be the one for me to look at in that right back position. Because I think if you put him next to Ibu, I don't even think teams would bother attacking them. How are you going to get past them? They're both rapid. They're both strong as oxes. They both read the game really well. They're both dominant in the air. I don't know how you get through them. They'd just be all over you. And he made a couple of great defensive interceptions tonight. And like you said, the goalkeeper, he's like, I think he's 23. Like, and he looks composed. His kicking was a bit shaky earlier on, but that was because his team were playing, like, firing the ball back at him. Like, oh no, Liverpool are pressing us, and just lashing it back to them. But he's very composed. He reads the game quite well in terms of commanding his box and knowing when to come for crosses and when not to come for crosses. He's definitely one that I could see getting a fairly sizable move in the next few years because, high-end goalkeepers are in short supply. And if there's a suggestion that you could become one, someone will take a chance.
I can only imagine what phrases in Italian were being directed his way by Fede Chiesa during the match today, because he was doing his damnedest to sort, God bless him, but it wasn't working out. On Diakite, just one last thing really quick. Is he the right age profile for us as well? He's sort of 25.
He's 24. Yeah, he's 24, just turned 24 there on the 6th of January.
Right deal. Guy, let's get stuck into this match, which was refereed by a Felix Zvayer, who apparently I think did at least one very high-profile international game recently. Maybe it was it could have been a Euros final or semi-final. But anyway, apparently he has a bit of standing in the game. I wasn't particularly familiar with him, I'll admit. But we can just float through this first half, you and I. I know that sounds like I'm taking on an awful lot with you, but really there are a couple of incidents of note. Both of them involve Mo Salah. I'm just going to go through the first bit of the game, which was kind of not very remarkable, a little bit sloppy from us. And to be fair, the first sort of attack of the game was right in the first minute, in the opening seconds, where Goodmanson really got the better of Conor Bradley and drove on and shot narrowly wide of the post. And, it was a bit of a card marker for Bradley in that regard. Mo then cuts in and hit a shot from the Mo Salah position on his left foot in 7 minutes, but was easily saved. And we do just constantly have the ball. There's pressure, but I don't know if it's pressure that's resulting in great opportunities. Again, just briefly, the match stats would suggest not yet. I mean, you compare, we had 37 shots in our last game. We managed 13 in this one, although granted, the ratio of shots on target is a lot higher. We had 7 of those on target. And again, 56% of the ball tonight, which is lower than usual for us. So that's quite interesting, I suppose. But just in terms of the rest of the things that happened then, this sort of possession without any penetration was the story of the first 20, 25 minutes. Some nice football, but final ball or decision making was letting us down. Luis Diaz puts in a dangerous ball in the half-hour mark, and it bounces off Mo Salah's knee. He's raiding in from his usual position on the right-hand side, and it's a lovely first-time cross by Luis Diaz. It's a lovely flowing move, first-time cross, and Mo just can't get the connection he wants to get with the right part of his body. You don't know if he'd have been better off given where it actually hit him to stoop and head it or whatever, but it didn't work out. 3 minutes later, however, it did work out. That's Salah first to 50 European goals for Liverpool. He scored off the back of a very good Costas Tsimikas win of the ball in midfield. I think it was Jonathan David who he won the ball off, and David was doing a bit of crying about it. But it's a perfectly solid tackle, and it's only about making contact with the ball. It breaks to Curtis, and he releases Mo with a lovely through ball. It's a fantastically executed through ball. And Mo gets there before the keeper and finishes beautifully, sweeping the ball home from the edge of the box with his favourite left foot high into the net, actually lofted towards top bins. And, you know, there is a beautiful counter-attack by us on 39 minutes. There's a nice little bit of play which sees Dom Szoboszlai shot wide of the near post when actually he probably had a man or two inside him. There is a 44th minute opportunity as well, where Luis Diaz does a brilliant diagonal ball. He's over on the left touchline. He pings it all the way across the pitch to release Mo Salah over on the right. Now Mo's touch, his first touch, his strength to hold off the defender, the two things together are absolutely outrageous. I think he takes maybe 2-3 touches more as he drives towards goal, holding the defender off. All he's got to do now is slide the finish properly inside the post. And oddly for Mo, he doesn't manage to do it, but it had the makings of an absolutely world-class goal. It was kind of frustrating. And the only other thing I have of note here is that right on the death of that half, 46 minutes, there's a brilliant covering run and a little foot in by Curtis, who had been down injured on 41 minutes. I'm not sure what happened to him, but he continued to play on for a good while. Well, he continued to play on until the end of the half, but I'm not quite sure. It looked like a groin injury, and I was a bit worried it might have been.
He did the splits a bit, didn't he?
He did, but he was getting a nice little cuddle with the family jewels as well. So I don't know, did he maybe strain his ball sack? I don't know. He did something not good anyway. He didn't start the second half, but we'll come to that. I've put a lot on the table there, and yet I haven't. Guy, talk to me about the goal and the other big opportunity, and if there was any other kind of point of note in that first half, which was quite drab, as you and I were both saying before even Dave joined us there in the chat.
Yeah, I think the first half was summarised by Mo Salah, to be fair. I think when we're not particularly playing well, we have this weird knack of not getting Salah involved in the game. Like, say, Brentford at the weekend. Mo was on the periphery of quite a lot. I think he should have had like an assist for Gakpo, if I remember correctly, at the weekend. But other than that, he was barely involved. Whereas today, he was involved in everything. And half of it was shit. half of it was magnificent. And it was just a really weird game. Like, I think there was, if I remember correctly, quite early on, there was like a really fantastic through ball outside the boot pass to Darwin. And then every other pass he attempted was overhit, went out for a goal kick, went straight to the goalkeeper or whatever. It was just really weird. But that was probably my main takeaway from the first half, was the pattern of just getting Mo Salah involved on the ball so often. And I don't know if it just works better with Bradley being there, because he can provide width on the right, whereas Trent obviously comes into midfield quite a bit more. I don't know if that's what the issue is there, or Lille just play a lot differently than a Brentford, for example. But the goals, I mean, yeah, it's a really nice tackle from Tsimikas. Don't know why Lille are bitching, and obviously that eventually gets the player sent off as well, because he gets a yellow card for the bitching. It's like the cleanest tackle you'll ever see. Curtis Jones, really fantastic pass. It's almost an easy pass, but this might just almost talking down to a professional football. But sometimes you'd be like, Curtis would maybe take an extra touch or something, or underhit the pass or something like that. But it's perfect. It's central. It lets Salah come onto it on his left foot. The keeper's kind of stuck in no man's land, whether he comes out his box and tries to win it, or he has to do what he did and wait. But no, I think it's an easy finish for Mo Salah, really. But that was really well played. And that was probably the first time in the game we got a really clear-cut opportunity. I can't remember anything else earlier.
Up till then, there was Mo had a shot where he cut in, and it's an easy save. But apart from that, no, you're dead right. There was no chances of note apart from that. And then, the other one comes, 10 or 11 minutes later with the Diaz ball across. And again, I'm sure you were like me thinking, oh, please let this go in, because the execution of that diagonal ball, the touch, the control, the strength, he had enough pace still in the legs to stay ahead of the defender as well. And it was just, I'll do the bit that you're so good at, but, it rolls wide. And
he did the fucking ab bit.
Yeah.
It's pain in the ass. No, that would have been like literally highlight reel stuff. That would have been potentially all-timer Champions League goal, that I think, especially in quite a... It's weird. It's like a memorable group stage, but at the same time, it's forgettable because we basically qualified 4 games ago. It's a bit strange. But that would have been an all-timer goal. The way he just basically manipulates the defender. I think he's shot in the perfectly wrong time. I think he either should shoot early or he should get closer to the keeper. And that's me, a bad goalkeeper, telling one of the best players ever how to score a goal. But I think he should have went a bit earlier with it, because the goalkeeper was kind of not really set. Or if he went a bit closer, I think it would have been an easier angle for him. But who really cared? Like, it would have been nice to have that goal, but after some weird performances from Mo, and again, this was probably another weird one, but it was nice to see him involved in everything. Like, we have this weird, the Christmas tree curse, where he plays a bit crap after Christmas. I don't think he played crap today, but it was nice to see him just be a greedy prick for a bit in this game, because he tried fucking everything. But that was world class, apart from the finish.
Yeah, it was one of those afternoons where Mo has no interest in passing the lads if there's a shot on, and none of us are ever going to be critical of that.
In one of my WhatsApps, we found a theory that he really just hates Thierry Henry. He just wants to take every record from Thierry Henry. I think he's now matched in Champions League goals with Thierry Henry. So
it's tremendous.
PSV are about to get 17 shots from just Mo Salah next week.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.